Welcome to WDW Escape, presented by WDW Magazine. In today's episode, we remember A Voyage Under the Sea from Lee in Easton, Pennsylvania.
I was a spunky 6-year-old the first time I visited Disney World. My parents had my younger brother and me on a tour of Orlando with one set of grandparents in tow. Actually, it was everyone's first time at Disney World. My parents and grandparents had never visited before either. I really only have one concrete memory from our trip, and of course, it was our day at Magic Kingdom. Many years ago, in the 80s, there was no Instagram, YouTube, Google, let alone the internet to research a trip to the most magical place on Earth. My parents didn't spend hours analyzing crowd calendars and waking up at the crack of dawn to reserve fast passes weeks in advance. Nope, we just showed up. We had no plan, no idea of how the park was laid out. We were just an unassuming party of 6, there to enjoy what my dad had read so much about through AAA. So, we grabbed a map and began to explore. Down Main Street, USA we went. It was cute, but I was 6. I was not super impressed. Cinderella Castle? Now that was impressive. But still, just a building. No bibbidi-bobbidi boutique within yet. We made a slight right in the hub and headed around the castle. And that's when it happened. The Teacups. My heart be still. They were glorious. Beautiful pastel cotton candy shades of pink and purple and yellow, all whirling around to a delightful melody. I instantly knew I had to ride this ride. This is what magic was made of. But that's when the fun monitor stepped in. That was our nickname for my mom. My mom has a really bad problem with motion sickness, so of course her answer was a hard no. She assured me that riding those teacups would only make me sick and ruin our day. Instead, we passed right by the queue, inches away from the line for the most magnificent ride of all, to stand in line for some ride about a squid? Huh? What on earth was this? 20,000 leagues under the sea? Didn't want to ride this ride. Some old movie I've never seen? Boring. That's when the wheels of my little brain started to turn. My gran, who doesn't swim, was terrified of an underwater ride and refused to get in line. Instead, she said she would wait for us on a bench. I volunteered to wait with her so she wouldn't have to wait alone. It appeared to be a noble act. You could call me the hero of Fantasyland. But I was really scheming to ride those teacups. With everyone else in line and out of earshot, I started to plead my case as to why my gram should ignore my mom's decision and walk me over to the teacups for a ride while the rest of my family was 20,000 something. I wasn't concerned with the details of their boring ride. I was consumed with getting to ride those teacups. I was certain it would work. But who can resist a cute kid with a foolproof plan? A grandmother, that's who. She wasn't falling for it. When I finally realized the gig was up and stopped whining, she said there was still time for me to journey under the sea with my family if I wanted to. It wasn't my plan, but I figured it was better than nothing. I snaked my way through the queue till I found my mom, who was slightly confused by my sudden appearance. It wasn't much longer, and we were boarding our submarine to journey 20,000 leagues under the sea. As I peered out of my porthole, I was astonished at the underwater landscape. What an amazing journey! Seaweed swaying, lobsters sparring, dive bubbles galore. We ventured through an eerie ship graveyard with swarming sharks and past other underwater spectacles never before seen. Then all of a sudden, we were attacked by a giant squid. I jumped as a giant tentacle with its suction cup came towards my window. What were we going to do? For sure, we were going to end up at the bottom of the ocean like those other ships. But luckily, we escaped and were returned safely to dry land. Good thing my gran didn't get on this ride. It was such a thrill for a young one like me to actually be underwater in a submarine. It was like no other ride I had ever ridden, completely transported from hot Orlando to an underwater world that seemed to be miles away. How was this possible? It really was magic. Magic I almost missed. Till this day, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is still one of my favorite rides of all time, and will always have a special place in my heart as my first experience with true Disney magic. Fast forward a few decades to my own family's first visit to Disney World, and I still have some unfinished business with those teacups. Fast passes scanned, and we boarded our beautiful teacup with barely any weight. Moments later, my husband had us along with our two little ones, aged 4 and 6, that magical age, whirling faster than I've ever whirled before. Like a crazy person, I tried to take a video of my kids without my phone flying out of my hands. I could watch that video all day, seeing their sweet little faces, smiling and laughing as they squealed with excitement, wanting to go faster and faster as the background is just a blur behind them. So, may have taken a bit longer than I expected, but my inner 6-year-old finally got to ride those teacups, and they did not disappoint. And don't tell my mom, but I did feel a bit sick after all that spinning. Spinning I'll gladly stomach, to whirl with my kids and listen to those squeals.
You've been listening to WDW Escape, presented by WDW Magazine. Still missing Walt Disney World? Subscribe to WDW Magazine in print or digital format at wdw-magazine.com. You'll be transported right back to your happy place. Use coupon code PODCAST for $10 off an annual digital edition. From all of us here at WDW Magazine, have a magical day.